But, like I was saying before, like the creative brain can move mountains. And like I seriously mean it that I feel like, I've ended board meetings with I love you to the team. Like
Hmm.
I really do like value each and every person and the different perspectives that they bring. And, you just have to keep learning and be very humble and, leave your ego at the door because we're
Yeah,
all going to fail at certain things. And it's like the passion and the drive and the commitment that really matters.
yeah.
And I feel like I'm really not selling this board work right now, but like
But
I
people
know
need to
that
hear it.
yeah, but like I know that every single person on the board is very committed to what's going on and very passionate. And I think that that can take you way further than being a like trained event planner coming in and doing
Yeah,
this
yeah.
work.
Hello and welcome everyone to I Am Board, AIGA DC's podcast where we discuss everything going on in the world of our current and former board members. I'm Nabi Bilal, one of the current communications directors for AIGA DC, and today I am joined by Megan Kimmitt, who happens to be the president of AIGA DC. Megan, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Hi, Nabi. Thank you for having me. Always great to talk to you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And before we get into this, Megan, you always give me some type of jewel in your responses to things. So I'm pretty sure throughout this interview there will be many jewels that you drop. But without further ado, can you introduce yourself formally for those who don't know you and tell folks what you do with AIGADC?
Sure. As Nabi said, I am the current president, well, co-president of AIGA DC. I will be finishing out my presidency term at the end of June this year. But I'm very happily staying on with the board and going to be serving as a chapter admin in more of a behind the scenes kind of role. So you're all not going to get rid of me that quick. I I started on the board 4 years ago in the mentorship chair role where I ran the Shine program and then transitioned to be the programming director and have now been president with Jess Wong for the last 2 years.
It's always great to hear how folks have transitioned from one position to another, and it's very tough to make time to be on this board. So the fact that you held so many significant positions is very commendable. And knowing that you've been the president and you've been a damn good president at that, I just want to say, like, I see it, and I would not wish it on my worst enemy. But with all that said, what led you to join the AIGA DC board in the first place?
Um, I've been generally an AIGA member since college. It has always been instrumental in my career growth. And when I moved to DC about 15 years ago, I joined the DC chapter and saw just how active it was. Um, and it just became a goal of mine to really connect myself with this community and with other people who are so desperately passionate about it that they give so many hours of their life to this board. Um, and it's been really nice as someone who has spent my whole career in the in-house world. I feel like I've really found my people and my family, and I just love like everyone who I get to meet and interact with and hear their stories.
And so you said you've been in DC for 15 years. Where was home before DC?
North of Baltimore.
Okay, so not too
Yeah,
far, still
yeah,
DMV-ish. Yeah.
right. Um, we love the Baltimore chapter, so no shade to Baltimore, but they were not quite as active when I was living in the Baltimore area, or maybe I wasn't seeking it out as much. I just felt like there was a really vibrant community happening in the DC area once I got here.
Yeah, yeah. I actually went to school in Philly, and I know like I feel like at that time Philly was super active, and DC was has always kind of been very active. Um, what type of work do you do outside of AIGA DC?
So I am a creative director at a philanthropy and advocacy organization. Um, I spent my whole career in more traditional graphic design, or at least, what graphic design meant in the 2010s. Um, and my role now is still very heavily focused on visual brand and identity. And I have expanded that scope to think more broadly about how the brand impacts our messaging, how the brand impacts how the brand is translated into like the public perception of who we are and not just strictly on the visuals. So it's exciting. There's always something new to learn, and that's part of why I love this field.
So I have a two-part question for you because you mentioned how graphic design has kind of like changed, from like the 2010s to now. So my question would be, what do you think graphic design is today? And along with that transition that graphic design has gone through, what was your transition like going from designer to creative director? Because a lot of people have that imposter syndrome. Like, what is it to be a creative director? But there are literally kids coming out of school now who have been creative directing, curating their whole Instagram or
Right.
social media brand since high school. So
Right.
they are like, no, I am a creative director as well too. So yeah, I'd just be curious of your thoughts on that, as it relates to your journey.
Yeah, no, great questions. I not totally dissimilar to the youth of today. Like I was coding my own MySpace pages and, we are, well, assuming you and I are similar in generation, um, like my generation was very much like the internet. Like we were there when the internet started and we were like pioneers of a lot of these things. And I think, currently there have just been so many advancements and even just the field of design with tools like Canva where you can create really really beautiful things without having a four-year college degree. I think that just kind of like broadens the scope of what
Yeah.
it means to be a graphic designer. And in some ways it waters it down a little bit. And I think that there are a lot of other specializations that graphic designers of my generation have kind of branched out into different things and just made their own transitions as technologies and capabilities and, tools have advanced. But I think, there's still so much value in just knowing typography basics and
Yeah.
layout basics and how to use a grid system and things like that that you can learn on the job very much so. But you still need to apply all of those basics to make something really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about where design is today versus how it was. And yeah, contrary to the grays in my beard, I might actually be a little older than you. So I'll be 40 in July
Okay.
as of the year 2045. But no, as of today. Um, but I feel like my grades have just come from so much, stress as a creative. But yeah, I feel like at one point people were like, I just want to do the stuff that only requires me to take input from people to do. So okay, you want this color, you want this font size, bam, you got it. You want this image, I'll do something cool with it. Cool. But now, like you said, people can do it themselves, and it's like now the designer is left unprompted. So what do you do creatively when you're unprompted? Or how do you innovate now? Like you've got to be very
Hmm.
innovative in your thinking, or you've got to have uh, you got to be able to put your applied knowledge to work, and I find it's very hard for some people to accept and acknowledge that a creative or designer who's been doing this for 10, 15 years might actually be able to lend a ton of value through their experience of like how to keep things consistent, you know?
Yeah, totally. And I had a firsthand experience with that in my current job where I was their first in-house creative hire. They had been using several different agencies to create their brand guide, to execute for all the different issue area portfolios that we serve. But it was a really cool opportunity for me to like really reassess what the needs are, what the audiences are, because each issue area has their own unique audiences and needs, and to like synthesize that under one brand and be able to add a lot of that cohesion, but still be able to give a lot of personality where we need to give personality. And um, yeah, I think for a lot of organizations, it may still seem like, oh, well, we can just, do whatever on our own or use a consultant to do that. But then when you have someone to oversee the whole thing and like specifically focus on the visual brand, it's just like, mind blowing to them once they see the full package and they're like,
Yeah,
oh, like, I get it. Um, and, I think part of the job of a creative is having to explain a lot of those things over and over and educate on the importance and, prove the value, prove the worth. And that's, part of the fun, but it's also a challenge.
for sure. Okay, so we know that you're from just north of Baltimore. Um, what else might people be surprised to know about you? Hidden talents, things like that.
Um, I don't know if this is a surprise to a lot of people that spend time around me often. I love to sing. And I wouldn't say that I'm like great at it. I am not like standing on a stage performing solo for any reason. But if you've ever ridden in a car with me, like you're gonna hear it. Um, but like I've been thinking a lot about when I have the time, I'm gonna take singing lessons.
That'd be
Just because
awesome.
like I don't know, the ability to like belt out all of your emotions in a song is just like there's nothing like it. And I would like to be able to do that well if I'm going to subject everyone around me to hearing it.
It's so funny you mentioned that. My sister is a singer and I'm a visual artist, so I always felt like I had, a certain type of creative outlet. But at some point I got to an age where I realized exactly what you said. Like singers, musicians can express things with sound that I can't. And I think we're all trying to like be heard one way or another, whether that heard is seen or that heard is felt, and nothing does it quite as immediately as singing or, instrumentation, just from the sheer fact of like sound and the
Hmm.
human emotion in it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm starting to feel like as visual artists, we're sort of cursed to not be able to release our voices, although you are clearly like breaking out of the box and not accepting the limitations put forth on you as a designer.
Yeah. I so my dad is or a retired accountant. My mom was a school teacher. But me, my brother, and my sister are all creative. My sister is an actor. My
Wow.
brother is a teacher, but he runs the drama club. Um, my brother-in-law like plays piano and like a gajillion different instruments and sings in like a Baltimore choir. Like we like
Wow.
I'm
Very creative.
surrounded by a lot of it. And you know, my brother and I like grew up playing Karaoke Revolution all the time. And I was always pretty good at like getting the needle within the line on Karaoke Revolution, but I don't think that is technique. And I would love to like actually have the technique and like be able to like I don't know, not that I'm gonna like put it out there on like
You,
any social channel, but like I would love to just like, I don't know, sing with my brother and his husband and I don't know.
no, for sure. I think it's cool that you're going to get a foundational knowledge in singing, and you already love to do it. So who knows, like where it will blossom just from that.
Yeah.
Like,
And maybe they're like, "Hey, you suck." And I'm like, "Cool." I'll just stay in my lane then.
no, that's got to be your style. You just, hey, if Bob Dylan can do it, could you imagine Bob Dylan trying to sing like 90s R&B with that voice? He found the right instrument, he found the right
Hmm.
setting for it. I think like the same way they say everybody can draw, everybody can sing. Is just, your different type of style. Yeah.
Yeah. No, good point. All right, I'm motivated.
I'm sorry. I'm very encouraging to people just kind of like, hey, you have a passion, go try it, go do it. Like learn the fundamentals, the foundations, and like, yeah, see what you can do.
I mean,
Um,
you are living proof of that with all of the secret talents that you have.
it's a mess of things. It really is. After a while, you're just like, okay, I gotta stop. It's an obsession to just keep trying things, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, so what is let's move to like some inspirations and motivation. So what's a book or a movie that has had a big impact on you or a publication?
Um, I always go back to Garden State. That was like when I started to like really move into like my own personality, was like in that Garden State time period. And like I don't think I had ever at that point in my life seen a movie like that, like the indie films where it kind of breaks the mold of what you're typically seeing. And then, I mean, the soundtrack alone is enough to just like, it is still, I can just turn on the Garden State soundtrack when I really need to like focus on my work. And that is my go-to every time.
So do you feel like in terms of you kind of coming of age, it gave you a way to connect some of the things you were just feeling and some of the emotions you were noticing at the time and just kind of tie those to something more tangible?
Yeah, like it like gave me permission to be weird. I never went to a traditional art school because I felt like I didn't fit that mold of like art kid. Like I don't really feel that, but I'm like kind of in the middle between like a business student
Business-minded
and
person.
a art student. Like I just yeah, it's been, just finding where I fit and what direction I should go in and,
Yeah.
not trying to like fill a mold, but, carve out my own path.
On another note, what is a profound what is an what's an experience that you've gone through that's had a profound effect on your life?
Just generally my college years. I took the non-traditional route of living off campus all 4 years of college, which meant that I found a random roommate. I think meeting her and having that unique experience of living off campus, continuing to work my way through college, and just meeting all of the friends that I met both at my own school, but also at her school, and everyone that we just knew together. You know they are all still my best friends, and I honestly don't know where I would be without all of them. There are like 10 of us now, and we are like literally attached at the hip on several different apps, like at all times of the day. um but I think each one of them has shaped me in different ways, whether it's like professionally or in relationships or in like figuring out how to be a better friend to people. And, um, you know, I feel like I just have like the perfect Rolodex of people that I can call on that I know always have my back and people that I can also support. And I think that that is you know, beneficial to me as a human being, but also
Yeah.
as a professional. Like that is also the level of care that I give to my own team and to colleagues that I work with. Like you have my back, I'll have yours kind of thing. And it doesn't have to just be like me against the world in any of these situations.
Yeah. And you said you have one brother and a sister, so there are three of you all.
Hmm.
Did you always wish you had more siblings? Or
No, no. I am the youngest of those three. And honestly, growing up, I can't imagine any different combination of us. Um, my brother, worked at the same place he worked at in high school, and we went to the same college because I basically followed him there. And, my sister is like one of the greatest creative inspirations that someone could have and has truly like created my sense of humor. She is like one of the funniest people I've ever met. Um, and I can't like I don't think there's anything missing between the three of us. I don't think that we, need any more of us. I I have my family, I have my like friendship family, I have my board family. Like I feel I like deeply connect with people when I feel like I've like found my people.
yeah. No, I mean, that's really special. I feel like at where I am right now, I'm just kind of like, wow, friends just kind of drop off after a certain number of years. I still have friends who we're not all friends. My friends are not friends of all my friends, but it's still like people I reach out to and everything like that. But no, it's really special to keep a tight-knit group of friends, like especially when things get tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, DC is hard in general because it's so transient. Um, it it kind of sucks to have like especially to like find a really good work friend and then they leave or
Mm,
something like that. Like it happens, but that's part of life and you want people to spread their wings, go do different things. But I feel like people come in and out of your life for a reason, and maybe it was just for that short period of time was the reason.
who is someone within the design or creative space that you greatly admire?
Um, Good timing for a question like this because I attended South by Southwest a couple weeks ago, and I just I'm such a nerd for conferences and everything like that. And um, I heard from Suf Syed, who works at Microsoft. Um, and he presented a perspective on AI in the future of our design industry that I just found so refreshing because I'm sure you are also feeling this, but like I'm honestly tired of hearing people talk about AI. Like I'm over it. Like we're
Yeah,
here, let's move on. Like we all know what we're doing.
right.
But the way that he talked about it was about the impact of AI in like a really blunt way, but it was all backed in data. It was all backed in like his actual like lived experiences with it. And he, you know, took this broader look um at how it has just been like an innate sense for designers to like get married to a tool. Like Figma came out and everyone was like, gotta learn Figma, can only use Figma. Figma is everything. And it's like, cool, Figma is great, but who are you, the designer, the person with that knowledge, the vision, the creativity that is like using this tool? And to just like pull yourself out of having to learn different technologies and learn how to make technology work for you. And I just really appreciated that perspective because it's what I've been feeling, but I just couldn't like verbalize it at all. Where like we don't have to be afraid of it. You are still you you are still creating. You just may be more in a art director role. You may be having to learn how to prompt better and how to like build the agents. And like that is all still very much a creative role. Nothing's
Was he saying
dying, no
it?
one's going anywhere. Like you just have to adapt. You're not being replaced by the technology. You have to like step outside of all of these tools and still do the creative work.
It just begs the question too of like, um, how will people navigate this transition of, yes, there's all these tools at your disposal, and yes, you can kind of, you know, become tool agnostic, I guess, if so, but, you know, what's your real motivation for designing, I guess?
You kind of got to figure out who you are before you figure out what you are going to be using these tools for. Like, my passion in this career is that I want to make life easier for people. And, the weird thing about my job is that, yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff with visuals, but I also am like I'm setting up our project management tools. I'm setting up our folder organization. I'm like doing all of these things because one, it makes my life easier, but two, because it makes everyone's life easier. It makes the work better. When you think about being tool agnostic, it's like, okay, well, what are my goals? Who am I? What matters to me? And then how can I utilize technology to make my life better and to make everyone else's life better?
What's your thought on design schools and how they should be even trying to transition education to a place where a design student can more or less either find themselves or find purpose in the work that they do versus an A, B, or, otherwise.
Mhm. Yeah. So I, along with another board member, Greg, we serve on the curriculum advisory board for Nova, their graphic design program. And this comes up a lot. And it's something that I know the instructors are faced with a lot is, you know, the integrity of the work, period. But like, how do you teach AI and all of these tools and technologies alongside the actual like fundamentals of design? And, what it comes down to is like AI is a resource, but you're not going to get anywhere with it if you don't understand the fundamentals. So there is still like a desperate need for that formal education, no matter where it comes from, whether it's like a certificate course or, just attending events and workshops, like whatever it may be, like you still need those foundations in order to make AI work for you. You're not just going to be you, it can do a lot and it will do a lot more in the near future. But at the end of the day, if a human is not there art directing what the final output is or utilizing the assets that are created and making the final product out of that, like you have to find the way that it's going to work for you, meaning to help you get to whatever the goal is for the piece that you're creating. So I don't know, in my mind, I'm not that I'm saying AI should be an afterthought, but the way someone put it at South by Southwest, I don't remember who, they said every designer should be like playing with AI on the side, just doing whatever, and then going back to their work. And then play with AI and go back to your work. Like you need to be like thinking about it and just really integrating it. You
Just,
have to teach it. You have to
yeah.
build the agents. You have to like feed it all of these existing things. So you are directing the whole process. I mean, generative AI, like image generation tools and stuff like that, like it's kind of a crapshoot what you're going to get no matter how good your prompt is. It's still like, playing a slot machine. Um, you don't know what you're going to get and you can help to refine it, but like I use AI all the time and it is not to create visuals. It is to help me organize everything else so that I can be creative and do these other things. So, and but that's how it works for me. And, it's just a big part of like, what do you bring to the table in this equation and not what can I get out of a tool?
Um, on the note of creativity, so you have been the director of Shine. You have been a programming director, and now you are the AIGA DC president. Sadly, this is your last year. However, like, how has creativity played a role in making you effective in each of those particular things?
Good question. Um, I mean, you know this very well, but being on the board does not mean that you take on a role and you automatically know what you're doing.
No.
Um, there is very little design work that actually happens from board members themselves. We, of course, try to reach out to the community and get to, highlight our really talented designers all around us. Um, but, like I was saying before, like the creative brain can move mountains. Like putting on an event and running a 4-month mentorship program for like 50 different people when you don't have experience doing event planning and you're just thrown into a admittedly very messy Google Drive, like it takes a lot of creativity. Whether it's figuring out how you're going to pull off an event with a very little amount of money, or how you can best support mentors to best support their mentees. Like everything that goes into it, you have to be like really scrappy, and you have to lean on the people around you. And like I seriously mean it, that I feel like, I mean, I've ended board meetings with "I love you" to the team. Like
Hmm.
I really do like value each and every person and the different perspectives that they bring. And, you just have to keep learning and be very humble and, leave your ego at the door because we're
Yeah.
all going to fail at certain things, but we all fail at a lot of these things. And it's like the passion and the drive and the commitment that really matters.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm really not selling this board work right now, but like
But
I
people
know
need to
that,
hear it.
yeah, but like I know that every single person on the board is very committed to what's going on and very passionate. And I think that that can take you way further than being a like trained event planner coming in and
Yeah,
doing this
yeah.
work.
Yeah, and I mean, and on that note too, from my time on the programming side, I think early on I realized, oh, you could kind of like make this what you want it to be within the scope of doing events. So like maybe somebody is already like reaching out to like the motion graphics community, or somebody's reaching out to the community of folks who are like really deep into typography, but maybe nobody's kind of reached out to the illustrators and kind of gotten deep into this thing. So you have you have that freedom to be creative with how you give back to the community and how you create value. And um, that's that's something I think that could be understated about, the board role. I think some people come on and they feel like they have to do, oh, this event is gotta it's gotta sell out. Or and
Mhm.
as you know, like once you start doing events, even I spoke about this in a previous episode. Once you start doing events, you're like, there is no such thing as a stress-free event. Like it's just stressful to try and coordinate people and venues
Right.
and money and you know
Yep.
volunteers and everything like that. It just there's just no way you won't be challenged doing it. So you just have to
Yeah.
accept that, hey, some days I'm not gonna meet the expectation, and I gotta come back next week and be better,
Right.
you know?
But, no one joins a board if they are not ambitious and driven and passionate
Yeah.
about the subject matter. Like, I mean, we take it all really seriously, and we want to do our best for this community. Like the community has been here for all of us in so many different ways that, that's why we're here, or that's why I'm here,
Yeah.
to like give back and, support other emerging designers or find my own mentors
Hmm.
in this community. And yeah, it's just, every bit of it, it's really hard, but I thank God someone else is going to take over president because I care so much. I probably would have signed up for a third year, but like I do
Yeah.
not need to do that. It's someone else's turn. But yeah, it's just, I am staying on the board after this. Most presidents don't do that, but it means a lot to me and it's shaped me, before board service, during, and I know like long after it will too. Like we have a lot of former board members who are very engaged with the chapter still and um speaks volumes to the importance of this community.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to we'll have to check back in with you when you're out of the presidency to see what's it like when
Yeah.
when
How's
you don't have
retirement?
that. Yeah, yeah. It's almost like you're not a Shawshank in a way,
Yeah.
except, now you're, hey, how's the beach? Yeah, yeah. I guess another question I have is what would you say is your proudest moment of your service on the board?
Um, well, my favorite time of year are the summer board retreats. I I just love getting people together and coming up with ideas and strategizing and hearing everyone's opinions and like pulling it all together. And, maybe big ideas come out of it and maybe they
Hmm.
just kind of get left on the cutting room floor. But I really love being able to bring the whole team together, especially when there are new board members and, the more veteran board members can, kind of flex their knowledge a little bit. Like I don't know, I love the whole experience of that. And the sole focus is how do we serve this community? And um I don't know. I feel like actually serving the community probably should have been my answer. But I think that like those moments are like really, really important moments to just keep us all connected and in check and see each other face to face and just, explore ideas together. I just love that.
Yeah, I feel like you've been good about making sure that we remember that there's a life outside of a Zoom window and, virtual meetings, because it you can get really comfortable in the idea that, like, oh, I get to do the meeting and I don't have to go through traffic or find parking, but
Right.
there is nothing like that in-person synergy, and I feel like the world needs to remember that at least once a month maybe, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I do get notoriously comfortable in my own dwellings, but trying to be better about that. Um, if you could invite one person to speak at an AIGA DC event, who would it be?
I mean, I would love to hear from Suf Syed directly speaking to the DC community. Um, but I also love hearing from creatives who are really putting themselves out there to fight the good fight. Um, I think that there are a lot of people who just kind of go under the radar for really big things that they have done. And I'm looking at you directly and how their work has like made a huge impact on not just the DC community, but like the national community. And I don't know, finding more of those speakers to say like, hey, this
Yeah.
is actually possible. Like it's I remember as a younger designer hearing these people talk and being like, I don't have like 3 months. I can just go not have an income and work on a passion project, but like
Right.
you can also do these things with a full-time job. You can find a way and people are, and I think we have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um so I don't have like a specific person in mind for that, but that's more of the vibe that I would love to bring into the chapter.
No, totally. I mean, there's so many people in the city who have done amazing things or been a part of, teams that have done amazing things. And I just feel like in general, creatives, overall, we do a poor job about, giving testimony to what we do because, a lot of us aren't out there, and the career paths that we choose don't really require us to be out there. We're more background. But I mean, just speaking about it can change somebody's life. It could be, oh, I didn't know you did that.
Hmm.
Here's opportunity here. So if you don't speak up, you can miss the opportunity to do your next great thing. And I think too, like again, if you want to do something on the side, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to finish it in 3 months. It might take you 2 years to do it, but you chip away and chip away with that goal in mind, and
Yeah.
you know, it's better than just always putting it off and never getting to it.
And if you are speaking to a community of designers about what you're hoping to build, you might find some people to do it with. So,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't, I think really impactful work does need to be talked about because we have to maintain momentum
yeah,
with things like that. And how do you do that if you don't have people to build it with you?
yeah. No, totally. As they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So, true words.
Yeah.
Um, how can people keep up with you if they want to get in touch with you about what it's like to be on the board, to do all these things, or if they want to get singing lessons from you eventually?
Um, I feel like LinkedIn is usually the best route. Um, but also just email megan.kimmitt@gmail. Um, or you can email the president email address for the next couple months before
Okay.
it becomes someone else's inbox. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm around. I'm not like, the most active with my design career on social media channels and things like that, but I do try to stay engaged in the LinkedIn community. I think that there's, a lot of opportunity there and a lot of people doing really cool things and sharing cool things on LinkedIn. So that's usually where I'm hanging out.
For sure. And we'll make sure we put that in the description so people can get to it. Um, a couple more questions before we wrap up. One of them is who would you nominate to do an I Am Bored episode, whether they're current, former, or maybe somebody who may be occupying a position in the future?
Um, I don't remember exactly who has done it before, but I am just loving everything that Eden Patrick is doing. Like, I feel like everything she touches is just gold.
Yeah, she's great.
Um, love her. Does not mean I don't love the rest of you, but
Oh, no jealousy, no jealousy.
but I know a lot of current board members have already done this, but yeah, I would nominate Eden for that. Um, I'd be very curious to hear a lot of her feedback, especially after having led DC Design Week once and gearing up to do another one.
Yeah, DC Design Week I don't know how anybody who's chaired DC Design Week is still like walking
Alive.
amongst us. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just seems like it takes so much, even when it scales down, it's like
Yeah.
it's even more that you got to do. Um,
But the energy is just so good
oh no,
when
for
you're in
sure.
it. Yeah.
For sure. It's the best time of the year for DC. What advice would you give to the next person occupying? Actually, I was gonna do one, but I'm gonna do three. what advice do you give to future shine chairs who are going to be in that
Ooh.
mentorship chair role? What advice would you give to a programming director? And most importantly, what advice would you give to anybody who occupies the seat of the presidency for AIGA DC?
I don't think I'm the one to give advice on the shine chair role. We were all still coming out of COVID when I did it. So, like, most of my shine program was virtual. But what the shine chairs have done after me, it just like it keeps getting better and better. And, Jasmine is just crushing it this year. And I love this program so, so much. And just it existing is great. And then seeing how people have really made it their own and gone like above and beyond is it just makes me such like a proud mommy. Um, so I don't know that I have advice, but like talk to Natalia and Marisa and Jasmine about that.
Hmm.
For programming director, the programming team is easily half of the board. It's a lot for a volunteer capacity. And I I think that the relationship between the co-directors is really important. Like I know that Catherine and we were directors together for programming, and we just worked really well together. Like
Hmm.
we had similar communication styles, and not that they were exact, but I guess they were like complementary. And you know, right now, April and Anike are like two peas in a freaking pod. Like
Hmm.
they have their own language, like they just like immediately clicked, and I love being around them when they're together because it just makes me so happy. Um, and I think that some of those relationships, like you have to really trust the person that you're working with. And like it is very much like, you got to pick up the ball if it drops, and you have to be ready for that and like leave your ego at the door. You just, you get it done. And
Yeah.
the better that you can be as a team player in that sense, the better it's going to be for everyone involved. I mean, I would also say that for president because am very lucky to have Jess as my co-president. And I think Jess and I started the same year on the board. Um, but like I've always been close with Jess, and there's never been any like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? It's like, oh, we both know what needs to be done and we do it. Like
Hmm.
we can kind of have our own unspoken agreements about a lot of things, and we still have that like, very even weighted partnership.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, our incoming president does not have a co-president at the moment. But I think that that bond between the president and the vice president for next year is going to work in the same way. Like it's very intentional um how those roles get filled and setting those expectations. And um it part of have if I had to serve a third term, part of it is because like the whole first year you're learning what to
Oh, for
do.
sure. Yep.
And like I still am learning like what's going on around here and like how to improve things. And um, it for me, it's kind of like, oh, well, if I had a third year, I could be even more effective. But I think with the incoming president and VP, they've both served on the board for so long and have already worked so closely with Jess and I that I don't think there's going to be as much of a lag for them. But I would still say, like, give yourself time to figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to keep things up at the same exact pace. Like I know you were just talking with Ariana about how she was running like 40 events for DC
Yeah.
Design Week, and we've
Yep.
scaled that back significantly because it's not sustainable. And, you know, we are doing no service to our community if we are not doing things that are sustainable. Otherwise, it goes away. And that's not good for anyone. So, that I think would be my advice for literally anyone serving in a board role or a volunteer role, committee, whatever it is, that, we are not expecting you to come in and be an expert. We're not expecting you to deliver at 100% the first time that you do an initiative. If you get to 70%, if you're even at like 60 or 50%, great job. Like get that like minimal minimum viable product, and like that is the goal, because the goal is serving the community, and we can't do that if we're holding ourselves to too high of standards.
Amen. I'm totally there with you on that one for sure. Um, Yeah, I take the same approach to the communications director thing. I'm just kind of like, hey, look, this is the first year. Oh, shouldn't have said that. Oh, shouldn't have did that. Well, do that again, or oh, make this easy. Well, should have should have just shut up on that one. But
Yep.
it happens, and like you said, it's all about the intent and trying to make something that hopefully, helps the community and makes life easier for, folks on the board. So. This has been a great interview, Megan. Thank you. Again, as I stated before, you would drop some gems. Um, is there anything that you want to leave the people with before we sign off?
Uh, Come to our next event, whatever it is. And the one after that, come
No
say
truer
hi.
word, no
Yeah.
truer words have been spoken. And with that, we are signing off. Thank you all for watching another episode of I Am Bored. Megan, although you're rolling off of the board in an official president capacity, I hope that you stay bored and stay around and continue to impart your wisdom and your sense of community within the community.
Thanks, Nabi. It's been fun.
Thank you. See you on next time.